Right, so for today's video, we're going to be talking about some BookTok drama, where an author is now being sued because someone has just found out that they were used on the cover of this author's book without them actually knowing. And by the looks of it, I mean, we'll get into it all, but by the looks of it, this lawsuit is going through. Like, this is going to be a lawsuit. This author is getting sued by the looks of it, and I would love to know your opinions. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, but let's introduce the people involved. So the first person you'd be aware of is a TikToker called theindyamarie with about 500,000 followers. And the second person you'd be aware of is an author called Neilson, and as we can see by her bio, it says USA Today best-selling author, and then has a list of her previous books. And I've had a look on Amazon at a few of her books, and yeah, they have like hundreds of reviews, and actually pretty good reviews as well. Like, clearly she writes good books, judging by the reviews. But the quality of the books themselves has nothing to do with this situation. It's all to do with the cover. Now, theindyamarie actually uploaded a video recently of about 500,000 views, where she says that she is now going to be suing this author.
I found out an author, best-selling author, was using my photo on the cover of one of her books, and now I have to sue her.
And actually goes on to say that the only reason she even knows about this is because she received a DM from someone saying like, oh, by the way, your face on the cover, not sure if you know.
So randomly woke up to a DM from a supporter. They were online looking for books to read, and they came across this book, and they DM'd me and was like, hey, like, not sure if you know about this, and if you are, like, would you recommend me reading this, blah, blah. But I just seen this online. And I look, and it's a book, but I'm on the cover of it. Now, at first, I'm like, oh, this is probably like a Wattpad type of thing, because back in my Tumblr days, a lot of people wrote like little fiction, fan fiction thingies of me. So I was like, okay, maybe it's like one of those things. No, it's a hard copy, gonna be on the shelves type of book that this author is going to sell in stores and do book signings and et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, so as you just heard, India's saying that it's going to be in stores and there's going to be like book signings and whatnot. From what I can tell, the book is actually already being released because there are literally reviews on TikTok talking about the book, reviewing the book before the situation even became a thing. And I do actually want to show one of the reviews in just a second. You'll see why, but we'll get to that. But this situation in particular isn't just the fact that her picture's being used on the cover. It's actually the response that she was given once she asked about this, like asked how this happened, and we actually do get to see the messages here.
So when I immediately seen it, I was pissed. I was pissed because it's one thing if you genuinely didn't know who the person in the photo is, but her initial response to me just told me everything I needed to know. And also, that photo shoot I did went completely viral. Now, I'm not saying everyone in the world seen it, but a lot of people seen it.
And like I said, we will get to the messages, but let's actually take a look at the cover of the book. So this is the book right here. It's called I'm Not Supposed to Be in the Dark by Neilson. And this is a picture of India. Now, India even says in this video, like, okay, I know what you're thinking. That might not be me. That could be anyone. Who's to say it's actually me? But then India goes on to show this picture of herself. This was this photo shoot that apparently went viral. And I mean, yes, very, very similar. And just to show a side-by-side comparison here, yeah, I mean, quite literally, these are the same pictures. Like, the only difference is like the hair at like the middle of her forehead here, like it's different in this image. Like this image has clearly been edited in a way it's got like these like floral features and whatnot. And it probably has some like drawing type effect over the top of it because as we'll see by the messages later, this was apparently like a commissioned piece of artwork that she received to have on the cover. But look, at the end of the day, if we compare the two photos side by side, they are the same photo. Now, there is a few questions that I would love to know the answers to, like, because obviously this is a professional photo shoot, right? It would be interesting to know, like, who owns the copyright of these images, because, I mean, look, I don't really know much about modeling, right? But I would imagine if you do a photo shoot with, like, an agency or a magazine or whatever it is, they would probably then own the copyright to them images. So with this now becoming a lawsuit, there's some, like, important factors here, right? But, I mean, India seems very confident in the fact that she owns the copyright to this image. I mean, she might have actually taken a picture itself. It might not be a professional photo shoot. Like I said, there's a lot of questions that kind of weren't answered, so we don't really know much about like this image in particular. What we do know is that does seem to be the image on the book. And yeah, if you are going to be using someone's images on the copy of a book and then selling the book, from everything that I've seen, I tried looking up like the laws in different places. You need the permission to be able to do so, it looks like. But then again, there's a lot of other questions, right? Like, who is going to be sued in this situation? Because when an author is working with like publishers, from what I can tell, it seems like the publishers kind of have the final say of like what is on the cover of a book. But either way, let's actually carry on the video where India goes on to say like, even though you've edited the image, it's still illegal.
Now, it doesn't, this is the thing with copyright. in laws, it doesn't matter if you invert a filter and put some flowers over it. Baby, that's me. And it is still very much illegal. Okay, stick with me now. So when I initially posted the Insta story, I obviously tagged her because I wanted her to see it. And this was her response. You can pause to read, but basically she's saying, I don't know what you're talking about. That could be anyone who resembles you. Are you sure? Like, you should be careful what you're saying. I had someone draw this for me, blah, blah. Very defensive, very rude, especially coming from a woman to another woman. And just like mean girl vibes.
Okay, so let's actually read through the message here. So at this point, India said that she has posted a story about the situation. Now, we don't get to see the story itself. India later goes on to explain the reason why she doesn't have a screenshot of the story is because she posted it, then the author actually blocked her on Instagram, and when you block someone, it then removes a story, and she doesn't have like a screenshot of it. But either way, at this point, there's been a story posted, right? So here we have the message from the author that says, I honestly have no idea what you're talking about. That's not how traditional publishing works. My publisher picked and hired an artist who drew this for them and for my cover. They showed sketches along the way. I never saw your face before this message. You should fact check before you make this kind of accusation. Have you considered the character that an artist drew that I did not hire just resembles you? It's really weird that you'd write this without having any proof that someone was ill-intentioned, but also I had nothing to do with it. If you have a problem, you'd have to take it up with my publisher. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, like when I've looked into this, it seems like authors a lot of the times don't actually have much of a say what is on the cover of their book, and it will go down to like the publishing house or whatnot, right? And they will like find an artist or they will commission an image or whatever to be on the cover of the book. And clearly, from what Riss is saying here, is that the publishers actually did this. Now, the whole part saying, have you considered the character that an artist drew and I did not hire just resembles you? I don't believe that in the slightest, right? The images, we've seen them side by side, are quite literally identical. There's a few strands of hair that are different. Like, that's really the only difference here. So yeah, to me, it is the image. Now, as we can also see, India then goes on to show an image here. It's not the same image as we showed before. That is like a direct copy. So maybe when she showed this image, maybe the author was like, oh, that's not even the same image. It could just be someone who looks similar or whatnot. The other image definitely looks a lot more like it. Now, India actually goes on to say that if this response was different and she didn't respond the way that she did, this maybe wouldn't have been such a big deal, but it's because of the way that she responded that she's now deciding to go through with this.
Now, if she would have been like, I honestly had no idea, like, how can I fix this? Like, I'm so sorry, blah, blah. I'd be like, you know what, girl? Let's figure this out. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind people using my image for things if they ask permission. If she would have like came to me with this idea, oh, I want to use your photo for my book, I would have been like, okay, girl, yes, like let's figure out a way we can make this work for both of us. And then I probably would have read the book and maybe recommended it to my almost 1 million followers. But her response was so defensive and so mean, girl, that I'm like, okay, now I'll see you in court.
And then we do actually get to see India's response here that says, wrong answer. On top of artist, you need a PR to help with your media training, love. I remember a photo shoot I did years ago that went viral. I'll see you in court, hun. Please have your lawyer reach out to me. Blessings. And yeah, like I mentioned, it does seem like this lawsuit is going through, right? And I do think that there's definitely a big possibility that Riss maybe didn't know where this image came from originally, right? That could be very possible. But even with that being the case, you would imagine that the response to the original story would be saying like, oh, like, okay, can we just like check this? Like, do you have any proof that this is you? And if it is, let's try and work something out. Like, surely you would want to try and work it out and kind of get to the bottom of what has happened here. But that doesn't really seem to be the case. And now it's end up in this lawsuit. And I don't know what's going to happen legally, right? Not a lawyer. But again, like Riss was saying, it's her like publishing house or publishers that actually decided what the cover was. So is it them that needs to be sued? Is it Riss personally? I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work, like specifically legally. It's going to be interesting to see though. Now, interestingly, as we'll see further, it seems like Riss is like not really worried about this in the slightest. So maybe they know something legally that India doesn't. Again, we're going to see how it plays out in court if it does get that far, which it seems like it will. Now, India actually ends the video by saying that she didn't want to like do this, but she is going to have to, and she is going to be serving the papers.
I really didn't want to have to do something like this year, but sometimes people just don't know how to be cordial. Sometimes people don't know how to conduct themselves as adults, and things like this happen. So unfortunately, this is where it has gone in the span of an hour. But yeah, she'll probably block me on here too, but it doesn't matter, girl. I'll see you in court regardless. We have your full name. You're obviously going to do some book signings or something. We'll serve you the papers in person. You can't get away from it. I wish you would have just conducted yourself like a sane adult, and then we could have figured it out together. But if you want to take this route, we can. I don't know how much you've made on your books yet, but I hope it's enough, because I do not play. And nice to meet you. I'm India Marie.
Now, looking at the comments in this video, it seems like a lot of people seem to also have that confusion of like who is actually in the wrong here. Like if someone is going to be sued, who is it going to be? Because like there's comments like this one that says the book was published in 2023 by one of the big 5 publishing houses, Macmillan. Unfortunately, traditionally published authors have very little say in cover art. You have to go after them. Then there's another comment that says, can confirm this is how publishing works. She and or the publishing team hires an artist. The author and team chooses, and off to the press as it goes. This is on the artist, not the author. And India has actually replied to a few comments, like this one in particular that says, did you ask her the name of the artist? It should be on the book. If she hired someone to draw it, then they are the ones who stole it. Either way, she's responsible, but if you're suing, sue them both. To which India replies saying, I already found them. Anyone who was involved will be served. Now, like I mentioned earlier, there is already like a bunch of reviews of this book on TikTok before this situation even went viral. Like there's this one in particular by a TikToker called MARKIE. I'm so sorry if I pronounced that wrong, but like I said, this was posted before this situation, and she even mentions like the reason why she originally wanted to purchase the book is because of like the amazing cover.
I just finished reading I'm Not Supposed to Be in the Dark by Neilson. This book, the cover though, check it. Okay, first off, let's talk about the cover. The cover. Get into it. Second of all, I really wanted this book because of the cover, but I stayed because of the story.
Yeah, and then she goes on to explain the story, and like I said, the reviews on Rissa's books definitely seem to be very positive. Like, by the looks of it, I mean, I haven't read any of them, but by the looks of it, from what people are saying, the books are really good. Now, because this video was posted in May of last year, I can imagine she was probably very confused when she started getting a bunch of, like, comments on this video within the past few days, and yeah, she seems confused, right? Like there's comments saying, lol, she getting sued because of the cover, to which she said, girl, what? Spill tea, please. Another comment saying, I just saw it, that's definitely Indy's face. But yeah, I just wanted to show that because I thought it was interesting how she mentioned the cover there. But let's actually get to an update video from India Marie. And this video was actually posted 18 hours ago as I'm recording this right now, where she starts off by saying that the author hasn't apologized, and then goes on to mention some comments that Riss had like left on Instagram, kind of replying to people. Now the issue is I can't see these because Riss's account is now private, so I can't show you these comments and I haven't seen them myself, but this is what India goes on to explain, and she explains like a few comments that were left. This first one being where apparently Riss said that she actually reached out to India first, but India's saying that's not true.
And also, she still had me blocked, and no, to anyone asking, she has not apologized. She has not, you know, taken back what she said and how mean and rude she was in her messages. I had seen somewhere that I think she said in her comments on her Instagram that she reached out to me first about this whole thing. I'm like, girl, what? I've never even heard of you, seen you before. I didn't even know you existed until one of my supporters sent me a screenshot of your book. Here's a screenshot of our entire thread. Literally, I was the first one to ever mention her in my Insta story. Where did you reach out to me? Do you have an email for me or something? Like, where did you ever reach out to me first?
Now, what confuses me about this bit is because as we saw in Riss's response, right, she is saying, like, have you ever thought that maybe it's just someone who resembles you? It might not even be you, but now we're hearing that apparently Riss actually reached out first previously before India even knew about this. So it would obviously beg the question, like, why did she reach out if she didn't think that was India on the picture? So yeah, that kind of confused me, but also I haven't seen the comment myself, right? So maybe there'd be some like added context in there that I'm not aware of. Now India then goes on to explain that she can't show the original story that she posted because she was blocked, which removes the story. And then she goes on to talk about some more of Riss's responses that she left on Instagram apparently. Again, I haven't seen them, but one of them was apparently Riss saying that her publishers aren't even gonna like bat an eyelid to this whole situation.
And I also seen her comment on one of her Instagrams talking about, oh, my publisher's not even gonna bat an eye at this. Y'all, this girl is like really, really mean and rude and entitled. Like, I was not expecting that from her, and I'm just keeping it a buck. Like, when you look at her face and then you look at her page, it gives like, oh, nice author, nice girl, blah, 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 blah. You would think that she was really sweet and that she writes books and all this, you know, but like, she's really not a nice person.
Now, Riss saying that would probably worry me a little bit if I was India, to be honest, just because the book has been published by Macmillan Publishers, right? One of the biggest publishers. I mean, if we go on the website right here, we can see this is the book, literally here on the Macmillan website. Now, looking on Google, and I don't know how accurate these numbers are, it apparently states that Macmillan's revenue is $1.4 billion. So we're talking about a massive, massive company here, and if Riss is saying that her publishers aren't even going to bat an eyelid at the situation, that would make me personally think they know something legally that maybe I don't, and I don't know if that's the case, right? They might just have so much money that they don't even really care. But yeah, it is slightly worrying if you're India in this situation. India then goes on to say that Riss actually ended up like pinning a post about this book at the top of her Instagram when this situation went viral, so I guess that was kind of like the first thing people saw. And India has took that as Riss wants attention for the situation, but it's not good attention.
And then she pins the book to her Instagram page, like on the top of the page. I'm like, bro, you want attention from this so bad, but you're getting the wrong attention. Like, you know you did something wrong, and you should have just came off genuinely apologetic, and none of this would be going on. Now the damn video on my TikTok done went viral, and now it's like, bro, no one's on your side.
Now, at this point in the video, India then goes on to respond to the people saying that it's not like the author's fault, and people questioning like whose fault it is.
And lastly, to all the people saying, oh, she's not the one who controls what the cover art is, blah, 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 blah. I've seen that comment a lot. Did y'all not read the message she sent me? I feel like I think y'all need to go back and read the message she sent me. In her own words, she said, I commissioned someone to draw this for my cover and I approved it, blah, 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 whatever the fuck she said. She was involved in the cover art.
Now, I know India is saying to go and like read the message back and saying that Riss said like it was her who picked the artist. The problem is, I mean, I'm reading the message back right now. It doesn't really seem that way to me, right? I mean, Riss says, my publisher picked and hired an artist who drew this for them and for my cover. And then later goes on to say, have you considered that the character that an artist drew that I did not hire? So, I mean, she is saying, like, it's the publishers who did it. So I'm not really sure about that part in it. But yeah, obviously this is India's take on it all, and at the end of the day, we are going to see how it plays out legally.
Oh, publishers usually pick the blah, blah, blah. No, she did. She did. And I know when videos go viral, it, you know, brings in a lot of strangers. So a lot of y'all probably don't know me, but I've been in the industry over 9 years, in Hollywood for 7 years. Like, I know how this shit goes. When you submit a photo, whether it be book, music, whatever, it has to be approved. And they always ask, is this anyone's photo? Does anyone else own the rights to this photo? Literally. Because if they do, you can potentially be sued, etc. Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with that, right? Like, with these companies, they should make sure that the photo that is being used isn't owned by somebody else, because it can result in stuff like this. Again, though, it does beg the question, like, who is to be sued in this situation? And I'm not a lawyer, so I don't really know the answer to that. But India makes it very clear in this video that she believes that, like, multiple people on Riss's team are to blame for this.
So it's her manager, her PR, her publisher, all of them included are wrong in the situation. So whoever needs to be served the papers will be served the papers.
And then India ends the video by saying that this is obviously going to be a long process because it's a lawsuit, but it is going to happen.
These things take a long time, especially because we're still getting screenshots. She wants to keep talking. We're going to screenshot everything. So we're concluding all the evidence. We're going to put it in a little cute file. And then, yeah, proceedings will take time. But I don't play. And one thing about me is I'm such a forgiving person. Like, I'm a sweetheart. Everybody knows this. If someone comes to me and they're genuinely clueless and apologetic, I'm like, you know what? Like, F it. Like, you didn't know better. Blah, 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 blah. That's just the type of person I am. But her attitude, her nasty personality, and her mean girl energy, automatically, no, I gotta get that. I need that.
Right, now I was actually going to end the video there because I thought that was all the information, right? But I've just found out that the author has now actually left a comment explaining, like, from their point of view. Now, this was actually on India's TikTok story that I didn't see before, and she goes on to talk some further, but it's more of, like, the similar thoughts that we've already kind of heard with her using, like, the picture and whatnot. So let's actually just read the author's comments. So this is what they had to say, and it's a little bit, like, blurry, so bear with me, it's a bit hard to read, but I will do my best. Hi, I understand that there's been some discussion regarding the book cover I created for I'm Not Supposed to Be in the Dark. As an artist, I often use multiple references to inspire and inform my work, and this piece was no exception. It is a genuine painting created over several iterations, using various sources for inspiration and developed in collaboration with the publisher and designer. I respect and understand the concerns being raised, but I want to clarify that my work is transformative and original. Please know that I am taking taking this matter seriously and kindly asked for respect during this time. Yeah, I mean, in a situation like this, I do wish I was a lawyer so I could give a more, like, informed opinion on the situation, but from everything I can tell, right, the image that I'm seeing on the cover and the image of India seems identical to me, the actual image of the person. Now, obviously, there's, like, the effects around it, and maybe the picture has been painted based on the original picture. Now, to me, the big question is, at what point does it become transformative, right? Because, yes, there is some, like, effects on it, right? And it might have also been painted based on the original picture. So is that enough for the copyright of the original image to no longer be at play in this situation? Like I said before, I guess we are going to find out because it seems like this is going further, but that's the artist's response to all of this. Right, so I'm going to have to quickly jump in here a couple days after I filmed what you've been watching, because since I filmed this video, Riss has actually responded over on Instagram. And it's a message that she sent to India privately, but for transparency, she says that she's going to also post on Instagram, and it says, "Hi India, I'm reaching out to you directly to apologize. I was advised to block you, but I realized I should have kept it open for communication. And I'll admit, when I first saw your initial story post accusing me of stealing your photo and that you were taking me to court and noticed that you have a million followers, I was completely caught off guard. Your followers began harassing me right away, and as a defense mechanism, I didn't respond how I wish I would have. What I said was true. I didn't hire the artist. I didn't communicate with her directly during the cover design process. That goes through the publisher's art coordinator in the email, and I only spoke to her after the book came out so that I could tag her on Instagram. I never saw your photo shoot, and I don't own the right to the cover art either, but I just want you to know that I'm sorry about my initial reaction. I wish I would have handled my frustration over something out of my control better in the beginning, but I completely understand your frustration. For what it's worth, I've been in touch with the publishing team in hopes of a resolution. I'm releasing this as a statement and signing out of my socials for a while to take care of my mental health because I'm being bullied. But I wanted to know if there's an email or a contact that I could give the publishing team for you to be able to help with resolution. I'm sorry again, Riss M. Neilson." Now, since this post, India has actually released a new video over on TikTok where she goes through this apology, and she starts off by saying the fact that it was actually posted to Instagram publicly, it doesn't feel personal to her, and then goes on further to say that she believes the apology isn't taking accountability and it doesn't feel personal, so she could care less about it.
She did post a statement that she also DM'd to me, so it was not personal to me, to be honest. If it was a personal apology, it would be just to me, and then she could have posted a separate statement or something, but it did not feel very personal. Granted, she didn't have to reach out to me at all, so I do appreciate it, I guess, but if you've read the statement, it just sounds like, in so many words, I was caught off guard by all of your followers. I didn't know you had all these followers. I blocked you because someone told me to. And even though I wasn't in charge of blah, 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 my bad. You know what I mean? It wasn't very much like anyone taking accountability. It didn't seem sincere, and I could care less.
Now, with that all being said, I would love to know your opinions in the comment section down below on everything that we spoke about in today's video. If you did enjoy, please do leave a like on it, subscribe if you are new, and until the next one, I'll see you guys in a bit. Alright, goodbye.